Hi, this is the first lecture for the second chapter in the Grammar and Mechanics portion of English 11 Semester 1 for Peyton Online Academy. We are continuing to work with punctuation in Chapter 2, and it covers all of the punctuation marks aside from commas and end marks, which were covered last chapter. Here's the idea. Writers use apostrophes to show possession, to make contractions, and to form certain plurals in special cases. And we're going to discuss how this is done in each case. Possessives indicate that a given noun or pronoun owns the noun that follows, and they are formed using apostrophes. A singular noun, whether it ends in S or not, will take an apostrophe S to indicate possession, hence Nation's Secrets and Judge Nessa's verdict under the examples column. A plural noun ending in S adds an apostrophe only, and hence the examples reporters apostrophe, questions, or the Joneses apostrophe, defense. Plural nouns not ending in S function like singular nouns when indicating possession and take an apostrophe and an S. Hence, plural nouns that do not end in S, like children or people, become the children's fate or the people's outcries, apostrophe S, when they are possessive. Occasionally, we run into compound nouns that are made up of more than two words, or that are hyphenated in such a way that you have multiple words together instead of forming a compound noun where they are pushed together like snowman into a single linguistic piece. In that case, only the last word in the compound is changed to indicate possession, and it is changed by adding an apostrophe S to the end of that word. And this is true whether the initial word in the compound is singular or plural. Hence, sister-in-law's gift and sisters-in-law's gifts. Now, occasionally, something is owned by an entire list of people or an entire list of groups of people, or we are talking about the ownership of a common item that belong where you have a whole list of people who each own their own version of that thing. Individual possession refers to an instance where each person in the list owns their own version of that thing. When that happens, you change each noun in the list to its possessive form. The example we've given you here is the attorney's and the expert's fees. You'll notice that we have one attorney to whom fees are owed and multiple experts to whom fees are owed. Each of them is owed fees and has possession of fees individually. Occasionally, your list will be of people or groups that share possession of something. It is something they all have equal ownership of. In that case, only the last noun in the list is changed to the possessive form. Our example here is Jack and Claudia's alibi. So Jack and Claudia are sharing this alibi that they hope will get them off. The next category the chart talks about is indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns like someone, anyone, or everyone that are used in either hypothetical cases where we don't know who might be responsible for the action to be taken, or in future cases where we don't know who will take the action, or occasionally in past or present cases if the actor is unknown to us. These are made plural by adding they are made possessive by adding an apostrophe s to the end of the indefinite pronoun. Compound indefinite pronouns, generally formed by adding else to an existing indefinite pronoun, have the apostrophe s added to the last word in the compound, just like any other compound noun form. Finally, we deal with nouns that express time or amount. And in that case, an apostrophe is added to a singular noun, an apostrophe s is added to a singular noun, one day's proceedings, or you add just an apostrophe to a plural noun. And the example there, which unfortunately we can't quite see, was 10 hours time. Okay, so it would be 10 hours, plural, apostrophe, time. There is an exception to these possession rules for names from classical mythology, that is Greek and Roman mythology, and from the Bible. The tradition is with those names that singular names ending in s from those sources are simply given an apostrophe to indicate possession and not an apostrophe s. Hence, Odysseus is wandering, Odysseus apostrophe, Jesus' disciples, Jesus apostrophe, Moses' leadership, Moses apostrophe, and Hercules' labors, Hercules apostrophe. Another thing to be careful of, to watch out for, is that one never adds an apostrophe to a possessive pronoun to indicate possession. Pronouns change form, they change their spelling to indicate possession. No apostrophe needed. So yours, hers, his, its, ours, theirs, whose, and mine. If you add an apostrophe, you are create to a possessive pronoun. What you have done, if you add a pronoun, if you add an apostrophe to a pronoun attempting to indicate possession, what you've actually done is to complete a contraction. The most commonly miswritten possessive pronoun is when someone adds an apostrophe s to it, attempting to indicate that something belongs to it. That contraction, it apostrophe s, is short for it is. If you wanted to say that something belongs to it, you simply write its, no punctuation needed. The sentence gives you an example of how that would look. It's time, it is time, for the jury to state its verdict. That is the verdict that belongs to the jury. So we use contractions when letters are missing and we are contracting things. An apostrophe indicates the missing letter or letters. Hence, they apostrophe re for they are. Couldn't, couldn apostrophe t for could not, or she apostrophe s for she is. Apostrophes are used to show where sounds have been omitted in poetry or in dialect. In poetry, this is generally to make the meter fit. In dialect writing, it means that the author has chosen to try to capture an accent in writing on the page, like this example from Ernest J. Gaines's The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. I don't know too much about Ohio, Unc Ism said, coming out in the road. Where it at or it's supposed to be, I ain't for sure. Okay, and you'll notice that this non-standard English, the author, it's important to the author that the reader be able to see and hear this accent, and so he has written it in such a way that by using apostrophes, he shows how the pronunciation is different from standard. Apostrophes are also used to indicate missing digits in a year number. For example, the class of '08 or back in '98. They almost always are used simply to eliminate the first two digits in a year. Now, there are a few plurals that are formed using apostrophes. Okay? An apostrophe and an S are used to form the plural of an individual letter or numeral. A word referred to as a word or an abbreviation containing a period. Okay? Most of the time, when we use a number or a letter, they are being used to represent the sound or the numeric quantity that we are trying to communicate. Same with words. Generally speaking, the word is being used for its meaning and not for itself as a device of written language. When we refer to words as devices of written languages, a group of letters, or to letters or numbers as symbols rather than by their meaning, the sound they represent or the quantity they represent, then to make them plural, the words themselves have an apostrophe S ended, or the letter or the number. Okay, this also applies to abbreviations that already have an opinion. A punctuation included. Any punctuation that follows a word ending with an apostrophe should be placed after the apostrophe. And notice this treatment departs from the usual rule, which dictates that a period or comma be placed within our punctuation. We thought the drawings were the architects. Okay, notice architects ends with an apostrophe because the drawings belong to them. The comma that is used to join the sentence does not come between architects and the apostrophe, but afterward, followed by but. Okay, watch out. It is very common to see people use an apostrophe to create a plural of decades or centuries. The problem with this is that the apostrophe following a century, so that it's 1900 apostrophe S, doesn't make it plural. It means that something belongs to the year 1900. Okay, so the correct plural form is simply to add an S to the numbers indicating the century or decade in question. And that's all we've got. Thank you.